Abraham Lincoln, the man behind the legend in the annals of American history, few figures loom as large as Abraham Lincoln. His legacy as the 16th President of the United States is etched in stone, and his leadership during the Civil War and his role in abolishing slavery have left an indelible mark on the nation. Yet, beneath the iconic image of the tall, bearded statesman is a complex and multifaceted individual, a man of humble origins who rose to become one of the greatest leaders in American history. Abraham Lincoln was born on February 12, 1809, in a log cabin in Hardin County, Kentucky, which is now part of LaRue County. His upbringing was far from privileged. His family was poor, and they moved frequently, eventually settling in Indiana when Lincoln was 7 years old. His mother, Nancy Hanks Lincoln, died when he was only 9, leaving a profound impact on the young boy. Lincoln's education was rudimentary, consisting of only a few months of formal schooling. However, he was a voracious reader and largely self-educated. He devoured books whenever he could get his hands on them, a habit that would serve him well throughout his life. As a young man, Lincoln tried his hand at various jobs, including rail splitter, store clerk, and surveyor. He also had a brief and unsuccessful stint as a soldier in the Black Hawk War. But it was his interest in the law and a burning desire for self-improvement that would eventually shape his destiny. He studied law on his own, becoming a successful lawyer in Springfield, Illinois, known for his honesty and integrity. Lincoln's entry into politics was marked by his election to the Illinois State Legislature in 1834. He served 4 terms and gained a reputation as a pragmatic and eloquent speaker. His opposition to the extension of slavery into new territories, a stance rooted in his moral convictions, began to emerge during his time in the legislature. In 1846, Lincoln was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives, where he served a single term. He gained national attention for his opposition to the Mexican-American War and his advocacy for President James K. Polk to specify the exact spot where the initial hostilities had occurred. His spot resolutions were met with skepticism at the time but reflected his commitment to principles of transparency and accountability in government. Lincoln's political career seemed to stall after his term in Congress, but the looming issue of slavery in the United States would soon thrust him back into the national spotlight. The passage of the Kansas-Nebraska Act in 1854, which allowed the residents of those territories to decide the issue of slavery through popular sovereignty, ignited a fierce debate and further polarized the nation. Lincoln's opposition to the Kansas-Nebraska Act led him to join the newly formed Republican Party, a coalition of anti-slavery activists and former Whigs. In 1858, he challenged the incumbent U.S. Senator Stephen A. Douglas in a series of famous debates that would become a defining moment in American political history. The Lincoln-Douglas debates were not only about the fate of slavery, but also about the very nature of American democracy. Lincoln eloquently articulated his belief in the principle that a house divided against itself cannot stand, arguing that the nation could not endure permanently half slave and half free. While Lincoln lost the Senate race, his performance in the debates catapulted him to national prominence as a powerful and persuasive voice against the spread of slavery. In 1860, Lincoln was elected as the first Republican president of the United States, winning a bitterly contested 4-way race that featured Southern Democrats who advocated for the expansion of slavery. His victory prompted immediate secession by Southern states, and the nation teetered on the brink of civil war. As promised, here are 5 little-known facts on Honest Abe. Accomplished wrestler, Abraham Lincoln was known for his intellect and leadership, but he was also a skilled wrestler. In his youth, he was a formidable opponent in the wrestling ring and only lost 1 out of about 300 matches, earning a reputation as a talented wrestler. Patent holder, while he is primarily remembered as a statesman and lawyer, Lincoln was also the only U.S. president to hold a patent. He received a patent in 1849 for a device to lift boats over shoals and other obstructions in a river. Although it was never manufactured, it demonstrated his interest in innovation and problem-solving. Cat lover, Lincoln had a soft spot for animals, especially cats. He was often seen with his beloved cat, Tabby, in the White House. He even once remarked, "Dixie is smarter than my whole cabinet. And furthermore, she doesn't talk back." Accomplished axeman, Lincoln grew up in a frontier environment, and he developed strong physical skills. He was an accomplished axeman and could chop wood and split logs with great proficiency, earning him the nickname Railsplitter during his political career. Ghostly encounters, numerous stories and accounts suggest that Lincoln and others in the White House believed the mansion to be haunted. Lincoln's wife, Mary Todd Lincoln, even claimed to have heard the ghostly footsteps of Thomas Jefferson. Lincoln himself reported several eerie experiences during his time there. On with the show. As president, Lincoln faced the daunting challenge of preserving the Union and navigating the country through the Civil War, which began in April 1861 with the Confederate attack on Fort Sumter. He was determined to maintain the integrity of the United States, and his leadership during this tumultuous period would come to define his legacy. One of Lincoln's most critical decisions was the issuance of the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1, 1863. While it did not immediately free all enslaved people, it declared that all slaves in Confederate-held territory were to be set free. This move transformed the Civil War from a conflict primarily about secession into a war that also aimed to abolish slavery. Lincoln recognized the moral imperative of ending the institution that had divided the nation for so long. Lincoln's leadership was characterized by his remarkable ability to persevere in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges. He navigated the Union through its darkest days, despite tremendous pressure and criticism. He faced political opposition, military setbacks, and personal tragedy with unwavering resolve. Perhaps one of the most profound moments in Lincoln's presidency was his delivery of the Gettysburg Address on November 19, 1863. In a mere 272 words, he eloquently articulated the principles of liberty, equality, and democracy that lay at the heart of the American experiment. He reminded the nation that it was conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. The Gettysburg Address remains one of the most revered speeches in American history, encapsulating the essence of what the United States stood for. As the Civil War raged on, the tide began to turn in favor of the Union. General Ulysses S. Grant's victories in the West and General William T. Sherman's march through Georgia marked significant turning points. On April 9, 1865, General Robert E. Lee surrendered to General Grant at Appomattox Courthouse, effectively ending the Civil War. Tragically, Lincoln would not live to see the full fruits of victory. On the evening of April 14, 1865, while attending a play at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C., Lincoln was assassinated by Confederate sympathizer John Wilkes Booth. He died the following day, on April 15, 1865, at the age of 56. Lincoln's assassination sent shockwaves throughout the nation, casting a pall over what should have been a moment of jubilation. His death was a tragic loss for the United States, but his legacy endured. He had achieved his goal of preserving the Union and had taken the first steps toward abolishing slavery. His leadership and vision had set the nation on a path toward healing and reconciliation. In the years that followed, Abraham Lincoln became an enduring symbol of American democracy and leadership. His legacy was enshrined in the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, which abolished slavery throughout the United States. His words, his actions, and his unwavering commitment to the principles of freedom and equality continue to inspire generations of Americans. Abraham Lincoln's life and presidency remind us that greatness can emerge from the humblest of beginnings. He was a man of profound moral clarity, an astute politician, and a gifted orator. His legacy endures not only because of his role in shaping the nation's history, but also because of the enduring relevance of the principles for which he stood. As we reflect on the life and legacy of Abraham Lincoln, we are reminded of the enduring power of leadership, resilience, and the belief in a more perfect union. His story serves as a beacon of hope, inspiring us to strive for a better future and to uphold the principles that make America a beacon of liberty and democracy for the world.